What's up, everyone? It's Ben from the Vinyl Jukebox, and today we have a very special show. We're doing our top 5 live concerts of 2025, and today I got some special guests on the show. Returning to the channel, I've got Matt, Traveling Dad Matt Marzella. I've got Juan, Don Juan Diaz, and I've got Eric the Alchemist Pasewitz.
Hey, y'all.
And so we're going to go through our top 5 concerts of 2025. And to be honest, guys, I don't know about you guys, but 2025, I think I took a little bit of a step back from concerts. I mean, I feel reflecting back, I didn't go to as many as previous years. And, you know, I feel like the shows that I did go to were a lot more meaningful than in the past. I was buying less of those like cheap, $25 concert tickets and really making the shows that I went to count, because I don't know, and I've talked about this in other videos that I've done, that the overall concert experience has been a little shaky for me lately. So I don't know about you guys, what you feel about that, but this year was definitely a step back, but I know for Matt, definitely not. Matt, how many concerts did you see this year?
23, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a record. I don't know. What did you have, Juan?
I'm near you. I'm at or near you, because some shows we didn't go together. Other shows I went on my own. So I'm right up there with you.
It felt like you guys were at concerts every week, man.
Yeah, maybe 24 if I add in one I went with my daughter that I wasn't counting. So it's like 24, yeah.
That's crazy. I remember looking at our group chat and seeing you guys at a show it felt like every single day. I was so jealous. I mean, for the viewers out there, I had a kid 16 months ago, so this has been like a real slow. I think this might be the slowest concert year I've ever had. Right before COVID, I think I hit like 52 shows in 52 weeks. This year, I don't even think I reached all 5. So you'll hear more about that.
We've been there.
It's great for you. That's so cool that you guys got to see so much. I'm pretty jealous. Next year, hopefully, maybe we can step up the game a little bit.
Oh yeah, join us.
Of course, just like the old days. This was our concert crew for anybody who doesn't know. So
you have to do a lot of research, because I don't know half the bands you guys are seeing now.
Yeah, we don't know half of them either.
All right, so let's get started, and we're gonna start off with our honorable mentions here. Matt, did you have any honorable mentions that you wanted to talk about before we go into our top 5?
No one really sticking out like that, but just the whole vibe of the year. I went to a lot of shows that were smaller, so just like meeting new people and getting closer to like the mosh pits and like feeling the energy more than I used to. I think that was really something I wanted to mention. Just that, the vibe was was really helpful and enjoyable. But nobody in particular. Maybe it was cool to check out Linkin Park with my daughter, who's really into them now. So that was fun.
Nice.
Linkin Park, I gotta ask Matt, was Linkin Park how were they? Because I remember hearing that after Chester went, they were gonna go in a totally different direction. I haven't really listened to them since, to be honest with you.
We really liked it. It was it was a big stadium show, but it was really hard. The first song, I don't know, Juan was there too. The first song they did, I think, was Somewhere I Belong, and that it was pretty emotional not hearing Chester sing it. But after that, it was pretty good, I thought.
Cool.
Yeah, their stage show looked insane, like the way that they had the stage set up. They did sort of like, if I remember correctly, it was sort of like not in the round like Metallica does, but kind of something similar, where the stage was like in the middle and the crowd was all
like
around.
A long stage in the middle.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Love
Nice. All right, Juan, any honorable mentions?
Yes, and as you guys know, for everyone that doesn't, I'm more into like the metal side of things, but this is not metal at all, and I usually don't do like pop shows, and this isn't even considered pop, or maybe they are. My honorable mention is the Goo Goo Dolls. So Yeah, they put on a benefit show at the Beacon Theater. It was a charity show for the Joe Torre Safe at Home Foundation. So the merch, it was limited merch, but all the proceeds went to the foundations as well as the ticket sales. And what I liked about it was that, first of all, they played 21 songs. They played for like 2 hours, and they mixed it up because I'm more of the old school Google Dolls. I love their old stuff, but they also, of course, sprinkled in new stuff. And it was a great night. Audience, I would say, is a mature audience, not like the crowd I'm used to. But all in all, like they have the energy, and he Johnny Resnick does not age. He looks the same still, like he did in 1995. It's like, oh wow, shit. But that's my honorable mention. Google Dolls put on a great show that night.
Yeah, that's one of those bands that I keep hearing people talk about, and I know their hits. I'm not a fan of their hits, but I keep hearing that like they started off really like punk.
Yes.
And I just haven't checked them out, like their early stuff out yet. So I feel like that's like a nice homework assignment. Like I should really check that out.
Yeah, they were just a garage band from Buffalo, and then once they hit the mainstream in '95, it was a completely different turnaround, a new sound. But I think you'd like their old stuff. Yeah.
I missed them at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year. They didn't play. It feels like they play it every year.
Oh yeah, and I think they're also doing New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve show.
Okay.
They're always there too.
They're that token rock band that like it's safe,
Yeah.
Well, Ben,
All right,
let me know when
Eric,
you want
what
to
you
check out
got?
let me know when you want to check out their old stuff because I need a listening party on some of their.
Oh, okay, definitely. They're awesome.
I'm not too familiar with the Goo Goo Dolls outside of the mainstream stuff, but I think it's probably time to brush up. Anything punk is good for me, man. Honestly, I don't have an honorable mention because I haven't even hit 5 shows this year. But I will say this, just kind of in the interest of chatting through it. The outro to the Blink-182 set I had seen when they first came back together was Goo Goo Dolls. There You Are, I think was the song. As everybody was leaving, they were blasting that as part of the it's listed on setlist FM or whatever. And it's just kind of interesting that you brought that up because that was just so fresh. I was like thinking back over the shows that I've seen. I was looking through my camera roll, and that was like the most fresh thing in my mind. Was like, oh yeah, that show was so sick. The Blink-182 one. I was almost going, I wish it was in 2025 just so I could talk about it here. But then you just kind of opened the door with the Goo Goo Dolls. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So I'd have to say, from my honorable mention, it's my only like big show on the list, and I think that's kind of why it's an honorable mention. Finally got to see Neil Young in I think it was end of August at Jones Beach, and that dude is just insane, man. I mean, like he's still got it, the energy. He had a new backing band that he just did a new album with. Sorry, I'm just feeling a little under the weather today. But he had a new backing band, the Chrome Hearts, and they're just insane. And, I was a little reluctant with that show because I'd heard that he's one of those guys that doesn't like to play the hits. Maybe he'll play like 1 or 2 hits, but then he'll play a lot of like deep cuts and stuff nobody knows. And I'd heard that from a few people from some of his previous tours. But that couldn't have been further from the case. I mean, he played so many hits. It was just a really cool time. I mean, we were all the way up top, but it was one of those things where, like, I just wanted to see him and, because he's getting up there in age and everything. But just really, really cool show. What was weird about that show was, they had a standing room section, up front, but we noticed as the show was filling up that nobody was filling up the, GA's standing room section. And we were like, what is this? Like, why is he doing that? Like, or why aren't people going down there? Like, did they not sell tickets to that area? Like, the show was it sold pretty well. So we just didn't understand why. And they had sort of like we found out later that it was a flood warning because Jones Beach, that area up front, it's right on the water and it tends to flood. So as the show went on, just more and more water collected to the point where it was like a swimming pool around the stage. It was ridiculous. So that was the talking point before the show, like what this guy like didn't want the crowd so close to him or something. He needed this barrier, and then we saw why. But just a really cool show, and older crowd, but definitely cool vibes at that show. So all right, so let's start our top fives here, and starting with Matt for number 5.
I will go back to honorable mention real quick.
Oh, sure.
Show I saw my daughter. Well, his name was Somber. So she's into. He's like a pop alternative guy, and I didn't know anything about him, but he did a really good job. He's a young guy. He's like 21 years old, and it was really good. Like a lot of stage presence, piano, everything, like a lot of different instruments. So he kind of won me over. If anyone's ever heard of him, it was a really good show.
That was at Brooklyn Paramount, right?
Brooklyn Steel.
Oh.
But my first show was one that Juan won tickets for, which was a special type of show back in March. It was Pop Evil. He won a meet and greet through Sirius XM Octane. So we got to see like an acoustic set of the new album. And then they did a full electric show, not full show, but like 5 songs electric. And we were like right up on top of them, right, Juan?
Right. It was a small room, and it looked like a fashion display warehouse or something, but it was very small, and it was a fun night. And Sirius XM was recording it. I think you could watch it on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
And you could stream it on Sirius XM Octane. That was a good show, and we got a copy of the vinyl. They autographed it and everything.
Yeah, pictures with them. It was in like an office building for the headquarters of some rock clothing company. I forgot the name of the clothing company, but that was really intimate. So that's why I wanted to mention that, because it was something we had never really done before, and we got to be in this intimate setting with an acoustic set and a full electric rock set.
Hey Matt, what did that do to the sound? Being in a non-venue, essentially.
It was good, but it was really loud. Right? Yeah, they had a good. They said the sound was good. They had full technicians there, everything.
Yeah, it sounded good. Yeah.
There's a really good. They did a cover of the song from the movie The Breakfast Club, right?
Oh yes.
It's on YouTube. They put it on Spotify. The live version of when we were there. It's really good. Why am I blanking on the name of the song? Don't You Forget About Me, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's like that outro scene where they're all like running into the distance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Sirius is always sending me emails for those special events, but I never won. So that's not the only one that you guys won, right? You won another one?
Juan won Goo Goo Dolls, and we met Jose that night.
I just won a last minute thing. Well, this one was definitely all pop. It was Lisa Loeb, Rob Thomas, of course, and then the Goo Goo Dolls, and that's from their pop station, Pop Rocks. It's called Pop Rocks the Holidays. It was like their Christmas or holiday concert, and that crowd again, different crowd from the metal scene. The pop crowd was a different type of animal, but everybody did a good show. It was well organized. There were a lot of freebies, a lot of companies giving out stuff, Christmas decorations all over. It was at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and it was a good night. It was a nice show. I didn't stay till the end. I saw like 5 Goo Goo Dolls songs, because besides having seen them last month, my wife and I are going to see them in Atlantic City on New Year's Eve. It's a midnight. We're going to count down to the new year with the Goo Goo Dolls, so that's going to be a nice weekend for us. So
you're just chasing the Goo Goo Dolls everywhere.
I know. I haven't seen them, and now I'm seeing them like 3 times within a couple months. It's crazy.
Be careful. You don't want to end up being like Matt with Mammoth. I mean, I'm seeing them like every other month.
Yeah, he's catching up to me on that.
Yeah. With them, this is the most I've seen a band in a short period of time.
So Juan, you won tickets to 2 shows?
I won tickets from Sirius XM.
Dude, I
from 2
gotta
different
get
shows
before I play the Powerball next time.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Juan, what you got for number 5?
All right, so my number 5 is going to be Baby Metal. I saw Baby Metal in June at the theater at Madison Square Garden. This was the band that opened up for them, Bloodywood from New Delhi, India. They were great. They brought the energy. They put on a good like half-hour set. And Baby Metal, it's so they're considered idols, which means right they dance and they sing on stage, and they have a band which plays awesome heavy riffs, heavy music, but that's all they do. And they're very energetic. They put on a good show. And what idols means basically, it's like it's a combination of like J-pop, K-pop, whatever, with metal. But the idols part is just like, putting on a good show, dancing and singing, whatever. But they blended with metal, and I like that combination that you do. I went to that with my daughter, who's a huge fan of theirs, and I myself ended up having a good time. And it was a good crowd, it was a decent crowd. But that was my number 5. It was a good show, definitely energetic for sure, and they sounded great.
Wait, so just getting clarification with idols.
Yes,
I don't get it. So they're singing too, and they're dancing.
right. They
Okay.
sing and they dance, and the dance is like choreographed to the music and whatever.
All
But
right.
they happen to implement or include the metal aspect to it as well
So Juan, wait, is this just like if Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or somebody decided to just like lay heavy double kick behind it and like play in drop C, or is that kind of what you're getting at here?
it would be like if Backstreet Boys had a metal band playing their music, but they did their typical Backstreet Boys stuff. That's what it is.
Man,
What's crazy about
Yeah.
them is how many like heavy bands, like people in heavy bands are into them. Like you see,
Oh, yeah.
like the Metallica guys all hanging out with them, Judas Priest guys hanging out with them. Like I feel like less so recently. I feel like now they've kind of died down a little bit. Like I remember a few years ago, they were like everywhere, being featured on everybody's tracks and
Yeah.
on tours and everything. I feel like they kind of went a little, kind of cooled down a little bit, but still, like it's crazy because like I liken it to like a band like Ghost, where it's like it's not like your typical metal or thing that metal people would be into, but like so many metal people are into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Baby Metal definitely gets the respect from the metal community for sure.
Cool. All right, Eric.
Yeah. So concert number 5, ranking number 5, I didn't get to see because I saw 4. So
That's it. You're off the panel.
Bye guys. No, I had a thought in mind as to like which show, if I were able to see a show, which show I would have seen. And I've obviously seen it on YouTube a dozen times and relived it. The problem is I don't necessarily want to say this show because it may be on someone else's list here. It's a band that I'll keep it really kind of ambiguous. It's a band I recently got into. Texted a couple of members of this panel right here being like, hey, throw me some songs. Kind of curious about this band. They've been huge for the past couple of years, but I had only more recently gotten into them. Their drummer's crazy, and I say that from a drumming perspective. I'm a drummer by trade, so that's what I listen for first and foremost. And they're a band to me that could, I guess, the most ambiguous thing I could say, with also hinting what I'm talking about. The band reminds me of if like Ed Sheeran and a metal band kind of made a child. So I'll keep it at that. I don't want to step on anyone else's toes because I know there's people who have seen this show and I don't know if they're going to talk about it or not, but I'll keep it there.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. Sleep Token? I don't know.
No comment, Matt. I don't know if other people are going to bring it up here, but
all right, then if they don't, then you have to go back and tell us.
I really have a feeling they will, would be my guess, but yeah, I'll pass it off to you, Ben. And I'll just say this: next year, I'm seeing at least 5 shows. Period. Don't care what happens.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, my number 5 was at the Capitol Theater in Portchester, one of my favorite venues. They actually come up a couple times on my list. To be honest, every show I've gone to there has been awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a bad show there. From the bands that play there to just the overall experience, I just absolutely love that place. It's just a classy venue. It's 20 minutes from where, Matt, myself, and Eric live. It's just super cool venue. But I saw the Joe Perry project there. I believe it was in August as well. Joe Perry, guitar player from Aerosmith, was doing a run of solo dates, bringing back the Joe Perry project, which was a solo venture that he did in the 80s. But it was a really cool lineup that he brought out for it. Chris Robinson, singer from the Black Crowes, sang for that tour. He also had Aerosmith's other guitar player, Brad Whitford, playing with him. Robert DeLillo from Stone Temple Pilots on bass. They were supposed to have Eric Kretz, the drummer from STP, on drums, but something happened and he couldn't do the tour, so they got the Joe Perry Project's old drummer to do the tour. But then they also got Buck Johnson, who's Aerosmith's keyboard player, to do the tour. So basically it was 3/5 of Aerosmith's, which was really cool to see. But, like I said, anything in the Capitol Theater is great, but what's really cool about the Cap is, they have Garcia's next door, and we didn't know this, but there was a Grateful Dead cover band actually doing a set right before the show. They weren't listed as an opener or anything. They just, were playing, and anybody who had tickets to the show could go next door and just watch them as they were shuffling into the venue. And myself being on a huge Grateful Dead kick, this was like just what I needed. So Mystic Dead from Mystic, Connecticut was playing. They put on a really cool set and the vibes were really cool there. So then we went into, the actual concert, and just insanely loud show. It was pure raw rock and roll. They played a mix of Aerosmith tunes, Joe Perry Project songs. They even played a couple Black Crowes songs. They played a couple STP songs, which, to be honest, did not come out too well because Chris Robinson singing them just didn't really mix. But they had to make bass player happy. So, but it was just a really cool show. I mean, Joe Perry still got it, and since Steven Tyler can't really tour anymore, or so they say, it was really cool that he brought that band out onto the road, and just to see them at the Cap was even better. So. Number 5, Joe Perry Project at the Cap.
Hey, Ben, question for you on that.
Sure.
I know Steven Tyler is local to our part of New York here, but is Joe Perry as well? And if so, is this like a local show? I don't really know the history there. But
no, so Joe Perry's from Massachusetts, and so is Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler actually moved down to Yonkers, I think when he was like, he was young, maybe like borderline teenager, and then he ended up moving back afterwards. So he lived in New York for a little bit. Some people think he's from New York. He's really not. But at least from what I remember from reading his autobiography. But yeah, so it wasn't really like a local kind of show. Although, to be honest, they were, they kept on, praising the theater. I mean, throughout the show, they were like, "Oh, this is such a great place."
It's such a great
Chris
theater.
Robinson was telling Joe Perry throughout the show, he was like, "I told you this place was awesome." Joe Perry had never played there before, but he was like, "I told you this place was sick," like everything. So it was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I think like the Wellmont in Montclair, New Jersey is just like the Capitol. I don't know if you've been there once. Yeah, those venues are great. I wish there's more of them.
I know these small theaters are dying, and once Live Nation buys them, that's like the death sentence, pretty much. But all right, Matt, number 4.
Okay, so this band, they formed in the mid 90s, really didn't take off until like 2000, 2001. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. I guess they're considered Christian metal, but more alternative metal. And they haven't really put an album out in 15 years, but they decided to do 2 shows in the United States last year. One was in New York and one was in LA. That's it. They're from Sweden, and that was Blindside. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them. Probably Juan has. And I'm putting that one on here because I never saw them before, and I listened to them throughout like 2001 till 2011 for like 10 years until they stopped making music. And I really wanted to see them. It was at a small theater in the city, Gramercy Theater, so I was like right up front. And for not really putting any music out for 15 years, they had a lot of energy. The crowd was really into it. And it was just a really fun show. Like, they were just rocking really hard. And the opening band was I guess a band from around the same time that never really made it big, which was, they were called Reach 454 or something like that. And the guitarist happened to be, their new guitarist happened to be AJ from the 914 Collective on Instagram and all that. You've probably seen him. He does like the Westchester County stuff. So he was doing guitar for them. So that was like a nice surprise, and he was really good. They opened up the show, and everyone was just rocking out like it was 2001 again. So that was a nice like throwback show, and I was really happy to see one of the only 2 shows they did that year.
Nice.
Cool.
Before we move on to Juan, I just want to clarify something, because people are going to fact check me in the comments like crazy and probably destroy me in the comments. So, Eric, you were right. Steven Tyler was born in New York, did grow up in New York, did move to Boston a little later on. But I just wanted to clarify that, because you know how people are.
The internet.
Yeah. Oh, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't really know the history of Aerosmith either way. For everybody who doesn't know, I'm like more of a pop punk, like, I've been drowning in pop punk since I was like 11. So I'm learning the basics of the rock scene that I need to know. But so
apparently neither do I. So according to Wikipedia, I just pretend, All right. Juan, number 4, what you got?
All right, so my number 4 show of 2025 is going to be the Falling in Reverse. Matt, you were there with me at this show. What was it? It was 4 bands.
It was a weird show.
It was Sleep Theory, Hollywood Undead.
Oh, cool.
Slaughter to Prevail, awesome heavy band from Russia.
Yeah.
And of course, headlining Falling in Reverse. This concert, it had like a festival feel, even though it was only four bands. But the energy that everybody brought was insane. You can tell that they gave their all for the shows. The set list for everyone was great. Sleep Theory is a relatively new band, so it's nice to see that a lot of people were familiar with them, and you can tell that there were new fans that day that saw them, and they're like, I really like this band. But one thing that I noticed, Matt, you noticed it too, which we were surprised about this. A lot of young kids, a lot of little kids were big Falling in Reverse fans, and they're singing along to like every song. They know all the words. I'm like, how do these little kids know the lyrics? Matt, what age would you say?
They were like 7 years old, 7 to 12.
I didn't know Falling in Reverse had that reach. Like, I thought it was just like, in the 20s.
There were kids at the show that were on iPads during the opening bands, like just playing games. They brought iPads. It was weird.
Like at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Falling in Reverse comes out, and that's it. Everyone is glued. Everyone is standing up, and Ronnie Radke puts on a great show. He sang his heart off for that song with he does it with Marilyn Manson. He wasn't at the show, but what's the name? God Is a Weapon. That song he performed that so great. It was a great job. So that's my number 4 show. It was an amazing time, amazing night, and oh man, I would definitely see Falling in Reverse again after that.
Did everyone remember to bring their laptops to that show?
I believe their laptops were there, and they did not malfunction.
The kids were controlling the show with the iPad.
Yeah, the kids are the backup for if the system goes down. He has all those kids on iPads.
Yeah, the iPads were ready to go.
I'll tell you something really quick about Falling in Reverse that I found pretty funny. So Ben and I used to go to the festivals, and I don't remember if it was Bamboozle or if it was Warped Tour, but I just remember at one point Ben dragged me like over to a Falling in Reverse set. It was like right when they first started. Remember this, Ben?
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for them. I was like, yeah, Ronnie was cool and Escape the Fate. Like, I don't care. And we watched them, and Ben was super into them, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. And now it's complete rollover. Oh, I can't say you're not into them, but I have no idea. But I feel like I have kept up with them over all these years, and I don't know if you feel the same way or not. But I just think
No, I've lost touch. I mean, there was a time and place I was really into them, and I really liked their old stuff. Not so much anymore. I've kind of moved away from that, but their new stuff kind of lost me.
I think,
but I do kind of keep up. I mean, I do hear things when they come out, like their new stuff when it comes out, and it's just not really for me anymore. But they used to put on an awesome show. I mean, that seems to have never left Ronnie Radke. I mean, he was always a performer. Now I know like they have a huge stage production and everything. They're playing a lot of their venues, but I used to see them not only on those festival dates, but also places like the Best Buy Theater and like small places in the city. And he always commanded a show, always commanded a crowd. And I will tell you what, Juan, they always had 7-year-olds in the crowd because we were close to the stage. Dude. And there'd be little kids right around us. Yeah. So, that's what they do, I guess.
There we go. They got the future locked in. But yeah.
But you know what, man? I love that, though. I love that these little kids are going out to these shows. Like, we're bringing back this. Yeah. I mean, the genre's changing now. Like, and it just kind of is what it is. But, like, we're bringing back that love of, like, that pop punky, metal-y rock kind of crossover. And I so appreciate that, because there was a time it looked like everyone said pop punk is dead, rock is dead, like metal is dead, and it was all about the rap stuff. So I'm appreciative to hear that the next generation might actually know some of our music, let's say.
I will say, I will ask you this though, Juan, because like I was wondering this because I've seen what they play in their set lists. How does a song like Bad Girls Club or a song like Just Like You fit in with like Popular Monster or God is a Weapon or Zombified? It just seems so different. And I know they play them together. Is it like a weird change up in the show?
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I did feel it. I was like, oh, this is a strange transition, because, their newer stuff, they really blend in a lot of hip hop. And they also have they have a couple songs with like a country music touch to it as well.
It's darker too, their new music.
Yes, it really is. So then when you go to that old stuff, I'm like, okay, it's the same concert. You're at the same show, but they try to blend it in together. So
the young kids knew those old songs.
They did. The young kids knew those songs.
I didn't even know them. I was like, I mean, I'm vibing to it, but I didn't even know those songs.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. All right, Eric, you have a number 4?
Yeah. So okay. Finally, right? So out of the few shows that I went to, I made my mom a promise this year that I would go see the B-52s and Devo with her. That was just like an absolute, had to do it. Told my mom I would. I appreciate that kind of music. I know the B-52s. I know Devo. I like it. I wouldn't say like necessarily I'd go buy tickets myself for that show, but because we were all going, I brought the wife. My wife didn't particularly care for those bands previous to the show, but we went. We had a good time. Lena Lovitch was weird, like just straight up like weird. I didn't realize how old she was. I think she's like bordering on like late 70s, early 80s. She sounded great, but weird. Those little super high pitched squeaks that she does are still on point though. So good for her. She kept her voice all these years. Devo came out next, and they were actually like surprisingly like upbeat rock. So I expected more like electro punk, like just kind of like synth heavy stuff. And he walked out on stage and just shredded a Les Paul, and I was like, "What the hell is happening here?" They didn't wear their hats until halfway through the set when they kind of did a whole costume change. But it was like two different sets. The first half of the set was straight like rock and roll, and then they changed into good old Devo that we all know and love, right? They played Freedom of Choice, which is like the song that I wanted to see the most. That's probably my favorite song of theirs. They hadn't played it the whole tour, and they dropped it for this specific set, and then going forward. So I was pretty appreciative. They sounded great, but they did miss an entire bar in it based on live versus recording. So that was a little weird because I was singing along to it, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that whole line just isn't there. But I guess they knew what they were doing because nobody fell off a beat, so good for them. And then the B-52s headlined, and like, dude, Fred still has it. Like, they're getting up there in age. The voices were not nearly as good as I would have hoped based on the fact that I've seen The Who and, Elton John and Billy Joel, and everybody's keeping their voice. This wasn't the same situation. The voices fell off a little bit, but the stage show was absolutely incredible. It was like they were everywhere. This dude was, running and jumping, and man, I'm 33. I get tired like walking half a mile, and this dude is like running around the stage at 70 something, just like jumping, going crazy. So it was a cool show, great stage show, really visually appealing. The sound, the voices were starting to fall off a little bit, but I think this was their last tour anyway, so I'm appreciative to have gotten to see it. And it was worth being one of the 4 this year.
Hey, at least you knew it was live. I mean, warts and all.
Yeah. Oh, here, wait. I broke out my all my.
Where's your Devo hat? Did you buy a Devo hat?
I didn't buy a Devo hat. I bought one of these guys instead. I'm a poster collector, y'all. So I have the Devo poster. Something I noticed about the merch at this show, though. So this is kind of a motif throughout the year. Everybody wants something autographed until they see the price. So in this case, I got a Devo poster because the B-52s poster, the only ones they were selling, were signed. But they were signed and charging like $275 for the signed poster. And with all due respect to the B-52s, there's no way I'm spending $275. And I think everyone felt like that, which is why everyone left with Devo posters. So that was just kind of an interesting note, and that's kind of been a theme throughout the 4 shows that I saw this year. Autograph merch is far too expensive, and they're forcing people into autograph merch, it seems like, if they want to be able to come away with like a concert poster, like a tour poster, or anything relevant. Just throwing that out there for anyone.
I'm gonna go one step further, and not to go on too much of a sidetrack, but I think merch in general this year was just insane, like out of control. From T-shirts to hats to pins to whatever stupid thing they decided to pull off the stage and sell, just I found myself buying so much less merch. Like I passed on so much merch this year.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed, Juan and I go to a lot of shows where it's like these young bands, so a lot of times they're selling the merch themselves. And if we buy something, we'll ask them, hey, can you autograph it? They might autograph it right there on the spot for no cost, which is great because they're brand new, starting out. Return to Dust, you and I saw them open, and I saw them again open. They were at the merch table selling their own stuff. I got some autographs from them. I even saw some posts on Instagram where some band was like, screw the venue, we're selling our merch across the street if anybody wants anything, because like the venues are taking a cut. But that's a story for another day, because we could debate
one thing, Matt, you mentioned to me on one of the shows you went to was that I remember back in the days, the opening bands, their merch would be like slightly cheaper than the headliner, and it seems that every show we go to is the same price whether you're the opening band or you're the headliner. It's going to be a $40 shirt no matter what. There's no $25 shirt for an up and coming band. Like, what happened here? Like,
like Matt said, topic for another day, and we should definitely do this again. But a lot of that goes to guarantees that the venues get, and whatever. Anyways, my number 4. So my number 4 is a band I've seen a bunch of times. I think this was my 5th time seeing them. Buck Cherry, I saw them at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island. And, you know, every time I go to see them, they just bring it. I mean, it feels like the shows that I go to with them just get better and better each time. This time, I mean, just talking about the venue real quick. I mean, if you haven't been to the Paramount in Huntington, just a really awesome venue in a really nice town. Like every time I go there, I'm like, man, I should come here super early and just walk around the town a little bit. I mean, very nice restaurants, bars, shops, all that kind of stuff. Just really cool to spend the day at. You know, this time I really soaked in the venue because I've been there a couple times before with Eric, but never really paid too much attention to the venue. I think by the time I got there, I had a few too many drinks and was not even noticing anything about the venue. But this time I was, and it was just awesome. They were on their Roar Like Thunder tour, you know, for the new album. And just like I said, amazing as always. We were right up front, and I don't usually like to be right up front for shows. But Sam's been pushing me to go up front more often, and not that for any particular reason. She likes being up front, so I just go with it and whatever. But the show was super loud. They played a good mix of new songs, deep cuts, hits, just real raw energy. These guys, I mean, like I said, they bring it every time. Josh's voice sounded great. Stevie D, just insane guitar player. He was kind of interacting with us the whole time. We caught a guitar pick from him. Just really cool set. They actually went a little over curfew, which was kind of cool. You know, they just, you know, they're one of those bands that doesn't really care. But like I said, really loud. Like I haven't been to a show in a while where my ears were ringing like for probably about 2 hours after the show. Just super cool. The opening bands weren't really that memorable, but Buck Cherry definitely brought it. And, you know, it seems like they have a real cool vibe with Long Island, where whenever I see them on Long Island, they really like step it up. I've seen them in the city before. I've seen them upstate New York, and just never the same feeling. When they go to Long Island, it's like a totally different energy. And, you know, but the crowd was really cool. Everybody was really into it. And yeah, Buck Cherry, just amazing set. And, you know, I thought they were going to be my number one show for a while. But, you know, the other ones that I'm going to mention definitely, maybe it's just because I've seen them a bunch of times, but, you know, we'll see when I get into them. Anyways, number 3, Matt, what you got?
Well, I'll go back to what you said about your ears. If anyone's interested, here's earplugs. I got those this year. They're really good. They don't muffle the sound, but I don't leave with any ringing in my ears, and it's crystal clear. And they were really affordable, maybe like $30.
We are not sponsored by
that brand. But it is they're really good if you go to a lot of shows. So the next show I went to, that I guess my number 3, was back in April. It was at the Meadows in Brooklyn, which I had never been to. And it was a really cool venue because it was like almost like a basement, you know, like one of those types of venues where there's no security barrier. If you're crowd surfing, you're up on stage, and then the security guys are pushing you off back into the crowd. And I was probably one of the oldest people there at that show. Is a lot of young people, and the reason why is because most of the bands have been around for less than 10 years that were at this show. I would call them like the new class of numetal. And it was a band called Ocean Grove. They're from Australia, which they're kind of like Limp Bizkit a little bit with the rap stuff. There's a band from New Zealand. They were called Banks Arcade, which I had never seen before. Kind of like that rap metal. And then a band from Seattle, I think, Avoid, which I think some of you might have heard of. They were really cool. And then the headliner was Thornhill, and they're from Australia, which they're kind of like got like a Deftones vibe. And I'm listing this show because there was just so much energy. It was so fun being in this small space with everyone. And a lot of the shows I went to this year were these 4-band tours where it's the headliner and 3 openers. And I've mentioned this to Juan. Like 20 years ago, you would go to a show, 25 years ago, whatever, and the openers would just get booed off stage, or people would be like, all right, enough, get out of here. But nowadays, at least for these shows, they put these bills together where everyone knows all the bands. So the openers are getting love, and some people are there for the openers and not even the headliners. So there's just like, it's like 4 hours of energy and people like really singing along to all the songs. And this show, I went solo. It was the first show I went solo to. So I met a bunch of people there, talked with a bunch of people, and it was just like 3.5 hours of just like this new metal energy. And seeing these young bands on this like little tiny stage was really enjoyable. So that's why that's number 3.
I will say, to jump off on one of your points there about the opening bands, people coming to see them, I think it also helps these days that they're giving the opening bands a lot better sound than they used to.
Yeah.
I remember when I was really young going to shows, and barely anyone would show up for the openers, but even the ones who were there, you get like the crappiest sound. It wouldn't be mixed right. My dad used to tell me in the 70s bands used to kind of sabotage the sound on purpose, or not let the openers use certain things on stage that the main band would use. And I feel like it's a different culture now with that.
It's like a community now. They're all out there supporting one another.
Yeah, so I think it helps also because, a lot of the time people think a band sucks because, they don't understand that they're just getting crappy sound. The band's actually good, but, it's really it's the sound's fault. So now bands are getting their fair shake at the show. And like you said, too, I think they're putting together bills that make sense. It's not too many head scratchers where you're like, what is this band doing here? They don't fit
and a lot of that could be due to all the streaming. They have all this data, and they're seeing who's listening to what. I mean, Thornhill, I saw them in April headlining in this little dive shithole, and then they were opening for Sleep Token by September, which was really big for them. So it's good to see this progression.
I like it too because you're paying for a concert ticket. You should get good sound throughout the whole show.
Absolutely.
All right, Juan, number 3, what you got?
All right, so my number 3 band. It's actually funny. I did see them back in 2012 at the Paramount in Huntington, where you were talking about. That was my one and only time that I've been to that venue. It is a very nice venue, and there's things to do around. Like there's restaurants, there's bars, stuff. So I did enjoy going to the Paramount at that time. But my number 3 band is Deftones. So I went to the show at the Prudential Center. It was a sold out show. The set list was great. I feel like they touched every album. Maybe they did one song from one album, but I think they made it a point to at least play a song or two from each album. And you can tell who the TikTok crowd is because when they played Sex Tape, the place erupted. Because this is, I think, the beginning of the younger generation getting into Deftones. Because they just discovered the song Sex Tape. And I'm like, that song's been around forever. Why is it all of a sudden like so huge? But also, it's good to see.
Was that viral on TikTok or something?
Yeah, TikTok was what helped Deftones like get this resurgence from and this popularity with the youth now. And you can tell because this tour they played early spring, they sold out like every city they went to. In the LA show, there were celebrities. Like celebrities were there for Deftones. Like it was crazy. And I love that, not only did he look younger, the energy that he was jumping, bouncing up and down, running around the whole time. I'm like, he's acting like Deftones is a new band and he's like young still. Like I love that. And the sound was great. I was a little worried about how it was gonna sound. I was sitting somewhat towards on the side, but I had a good view and it was absolutely great. One of the opening bands was the Mars Volta. I gotta say, in my opinion, did not like them, and it seemed like it was the unpopular opinion because everyone did what I did. We all went to the concourse. The people were getting a beer. We were chatting. I met a friend that I hadn't seen in a while. We had a whole conversation throughout the whole set because 2 or 3 songs in from the Mars Volta, everybody was just like, I'm out. This is no good. We were getting bored. I don't know if anyone's a fan of this. I don't want to offend Mars Volta fans, but they were not for me.
I don't know much of them. I think the only thing I've heard is that little clip of a song they played during the movie "Get 'Em to the Greek."
Oh man,
Yeah.
Hopefully that was
That's
better than
surprising
this.
though,
But
because they're a big name.
yeah. They've been really big in the music scene for a long time. I actually just pulled up a list too because I knew that they were kind of I don't want to call them a super group, but they've had so many members in and out. Everyone from like Flea all the way through John Frusciante. I'm surprised to hear this current lineup didn't meet your expectations or hit the mark even, let's say. But I do know that I'm sure there will be listeners that are fans here. I do know that they've been huge for a while, so I'm bummed to hear that they didn't crush it.
yeah, I remember listening to a couple of their hits back. I don't know, was it 90s or early 2000s or whatever?
Yeah.
Mars Volta has been around for a while, right?
Yeah, they've been. I think they formed in 01.
In 01? Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was this. They were just playing new stuff, and I wasn't familiar with it. But besides that, Deftones headlining, amazing show, amazing show.
I like how we just went from giving opening bands a chance to everyone walking out to the concourse.
This was just this.
I think it's the stadium shows. It's different for the opening bands. It's these small venues that are putting together these more concise bills. Because when we saw Linkin Park, there was an opening band. What were they called? Paris or something? People seem to know them, but it just was not. It was so weird. It was not the same vibe as Linkin
wasn't
Park.
clicking for us. No,
and it's a stadium show.
Yeah. All right, that's my number 3.
Eric?
All right. On my number 2, remind me to come back to the stadium show conversation because I have a bit of a perspective. But in going with number 3, which was not a stadium show by any means, Coheed and Cambria was given the key to the city in Nyack a couple months back. They're local to Rockland County. I think they still, at least Travis still lives in Nyack, I think. Their guitar player, Claudio, is from like Valley Cottage or like that area. So with that in mind, Nyack did this whole production and they played an acoustic set in the gazebo in the center of town. Not only was that my daughter's very first show, but what I didn't realize was how many people were going to show up. I really kind of thought that this was going to be a 50 people, okay, cool, Coheed diehard fans from Rockland County that knew them going to high school or whatever, right? And the entire section of the street from where the gazebo is all the way across a 3-lane road to the bars was just packed from every angle because the gazebo is 360 and you couldn't really get around. So that was really cool to see. I loved the set. They only really played 3 songs, and they were, like I said, they were all acoustic. They were all new songs. And I think one of their kids was in the opening band and played some of their earlier stuff. To which Claudio and I think Travis got up on stage and were encouraging the kids who were probably no older than 9 or 10. But it sounded great, man. They were unbelievable. And just getting to kind of experience that up close and personal was cool. They stopped afterward. They took pictures with everyone. They signed autographs. They were happy to interact with fans and just all around what it seemed like good guys. So kudos to them for getting the key to the city. Good on them for being good to their fans. And, this was the first time I've seen them acoustic. I saw them, a couple years ago with the Used as well. And each and every time they continue to impress me with their musicianship.
Yeah, I was at that show too. It was really cool. I mean, I'd never seen them before. I wouldn't say I was a fan before that, but they put on a really cool show, and I really got an appreciation from their music. I think afterwards I bought a CD or 2 of theirs, and I liked their new stuff, and I liked how they kind of got the whole community together. I've never seen that, kind of like a hometown band coming back. I mean, I've seen kind of that happened throughout the years, but like never in a town so close to mine. So it was just kind of cool.
And in like a little gazebo too, like just there with everybody, you know.
Yeah, and they just set everything up. I mean, it was cool. Afterwards, we got to go up to them and meet them and take pictures with them afterwards. Like that was really cool. It was a different kind of show for sure. I mean, it was free, and there were even people who didn't even know them who were just like hanging out there. Oh, what's this?
And then there were diehards, like people that were traveling from like California to like go stand front and center and watch them too, who knew every word to every song. And the album dropped 15 minutes before. Not really, but like, you know, conceptually it was pretty quick turnaround. So yeah, it was just cool to see like the dichotomy of people who were watching this show and going, oh yeah, I know this band. Oh yeah, I grew up with this band. Oh yeah, I know every word. Or oh, I've never heard them before, but this is cool to just be hanging out here and having a drink. Right. Good show. Good time. Thanks for coming with me, Ben. I appreciate that.
I just switched my AirPods, by the way. Is the sound okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, so my number 3 happens to be one of the like biggest blowing up artists right now, and that would be Youngblood. I saw Youngblood at the Paramount in Brooklyn. My first time at the Paramount, beautiful theater, pain in the ass to get to, especially on a weeknight. But just absolutely gorgeous theater. I mean, it's one of those kind of old theaters that they revamped and remodeled and everything. And it's just new and modern, but also maintains that vintage flair to it. So just really awesome venue. I would totally recommend it. I can't remember the last time I saw a show in Brooklyn. So, cause I usually try to avoid it because it's just such a pain to get to, but definitely worth it seeing him there. You know, what I'll say about Youngblood is, I mean, this was my 3rd time seeing him. My wife, Sam, is a huge Youngblood fan and has been for years, even before he started blowing up and getting really popular. So I've seen him a couple times beforehand. I saw him at a acoustic record store appearance that he did for the release of one of his albums. And then I also saw him at the Stone Pony Summer Stage. And just the amount that this guy has evolved as a musician and an artist is just insane. I mean, he's gone from, you know, kind of like alternative pop, kind of, you know, pop punky kind of leaning guy to a straight up like wears his influences on his sleeve rock guy. You know, I've been recommending him to a lot of people. And, you know, at first I was not into him at all. I didn't like him. I didn't like his music. I thought his style was kind of weird, but I've kind of changed with that. I mean, you know, with his new album that just came out, and also just the collaborations that he's been doing with a lot of artists that I really love and appreciate, I've really been seeing this different side of him that I never saw before. But what I will say, because a lot of his critics usually go to the fact that, oh, he's a chameleon. Oh, he's just putting on a show. He's going to go back to that he's going to go back to his old stuff at some point. Like he's just kind of a poser. I'll say this. I mean, the time that I saw him before at the Stone Pony, the full show that I saw, he was using backing tracks. A lot of it was, you know, that poppy stuff. This, I don't think he was using any backing tracks. It was just amazing energy, raw live music. He's grown so much, like I said, and he really gives hope for the future of rock and roll. I mean, this guy's strutting around the stage like Iggy Pop, diving into the stands, pulling fans up on stage to play guitar with one of his songs. This guy is always moving, so much energy, and he just sounds amazing live. I mean, if you guys have ever heard his voice, I mean, his voice is just powerful, insane. This guy can sing anything. But you know, like I said, I think this guy's really headed for really big places. Sam was actually telling me before we even went to the show, this is probably the last time we're going to be able to see him in such a small place. And she turned out to be right. I mean, he's playing Radio City next year, and it's only going to go up from there, I think, especially with how much he's blown up. I mean, the Aerosmith EP that he did was really cool. Like I said, the new album was a totally different direction for him. And, you know, I definitely recommend people give this guy a chance, because this guy, you know, a lot of people come and go that they kind of label as, you know, the savior of rock and roll, or the person who's going to bring rock back or something like that. But you know, this guy's definitely got something. I'm not going to say he's any kind of savior or anything, but like, you know, I think I really like what he's doing. I really like his attitude towards it, and I hope that he just keeps going in that direction. I hope he doesn't kind of go back, because I saw with an artist like Machine Gun Kelly a few years ago, he did that pop punk album. Everybody was all like, "Oh, he's doing rock. That's great." And now a few years later, he's right back to the rap and pop stuff. I mean, so some artists don't continue with it. You know, Miley Cyrus did a one-off rock album, like, but I don't know. I feel like something's different with this guy. I definitely like what he's doing, and I think he's heading in the right direction.
I didn't know anything about him. You put me onto him, Ben. You played a song for me or two, or sent me a song or two. We listened to it through, my wife and I, and I added him to my playlist. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's getting more. You know, I'm getting more familiar, I guess, with his music, and I agree with you. I think he's destined for big things.
I have to check him out. I only know the song "Changes" that he did at the Ozzy concert, so I got to check him out some more.
Yeah, that was kind of like the start of his blow up, but like the album that he put out last year, it's going to be on my top albums of 2025 list. I mean, you know, it's really incredible. It's a really good album, and you know, I definitely recommend you check it out. Give it a chance. It's got kind of ebbs and flows. It's not all like like a rock album right in your face. Like it's got subtle moments. It's got big moments. It's cool stuff. All right, moving on to number 2. We're getting to the really good stuff here. So Matt, what you got?
This one is a show that I went to with my younger daughter, who's 11. It was down in New York City at the Palladium in the summer. It was a band called The Warning. They're a Mexican rock band, 3 sisters. This is a much different show than the other ones I went to. It's just straight up hard rock, alternative rock, a lot of Metallica influences, and just rock influences, not so much metal, but there are some metal shades in there too. And it was just 2 bands. It was them headlining, and then some really small band called Speed of Light, which were brothers and sisters, and they were really good too, actually. But these 3 sisters just really rock really well. Like even if they sing most of the songs are in English, but there's a few in Spanish. But even if you don't know the words, like you're just vibing with them, and there's a lot of good choruses, and so the whole crowd was really into it. There was a lot of Metallica fans there. Like I saw so many people wearing Metallica shirts to this show. So there's a lot of, I guess, crossover fans that are getting into them. They only have a few albums out. Like I said, they're fairly new, but they're really blowing up too, because the tickets, I think the tickets were about $70, which for like newer bands is higher end, I think. Because a lot of the other shows I was going to were like $40 at the most. But my daughter, she's 11, she was really into them. Like she just wants to see them whenever they come to town. And they put on a really good show. Great riffs, all great on all the instruments.
Are there any mosh pits at their show? Are they like that
level? No moshing. It's just straight up hard rock, and you know, just a lot of. Yeah,
I need to give them some more time and more attention and good listen, because everything I've heard from them, like from on Sirius or just, you know, listening on Spotify. I mean, I've liked all their stuff. Just haven't given them a lot of attention, but I think that's one of those bands that, you know, we're going to be seeing a lot of. I keep getting confused with this band Plush. They're another like all female hard rock band. Mm-hmm. They opened for Slash a few years ago, but yeah, no, the Warning's super cool, and I feel like they're getting the attention of the older crowd too.
Yeah, there was a lot of older people at that show.
Those are the bands that really kind of hit, is those bands that can both, you know, appeal to the younger and the older fans, because the older fans have the money to go to the shows, and they also bring along the younger fans too. So
yeah, so I think that's probably why the tickets were a little bit more. They know that they have older fans. The merch was even a bit more. I think the t-shirts were like $50, which is, you know, most of the shows are 40, 45.
I always see at least one person wearing a warning T-shirt at a show. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
people like this band.
They're really good.
all right, Juan, what you got?
All right, so my number 2 show of 2025 is a band that Ben you had mentioned and touched upon earlier, and their name is Ghost. So they played a sold out Madison Square Garden in July. The cosplay was in full effect. So I went there with my wife and my buddy Matt's wife. Actually, he's right there next to me. Uh, we had a good time. They were a little freaked out when they saw Gothic nuns standing in front of the post office on 34th Street and 8th Avenue. People were dressed as satanic popes, satanic nuns, all that space paint, all that stuff. They were like, "Oh man, what are we getting ourselves into?" But then we remember that we really enjoy their music, and like Ben, you were saying earlier, like yeah, it's mostly like metal, the metal crowd that's into them, but their sound. Some people say it doesn't match their look. It sounds like classic rock, like you know, like a throwback. But I love their music. It was just so good, and they sounded great. It was a great show. One thing about the show, they did this throughout their whole tour. There were no cell phones allowed. So there's these pouches, a yonder pouch where you secure your phone in. And I actually did not mind that because I won't be a hypocrite. I'm one of those that takes out his cell phone, starts recording clips of songs and the performance. When you don't have access to your cell phone when you're at a show, you're fully immersed and you appreciate everything that you're seeing. Because Ghost, the theatrics and the obscure imagery that's on the screens behind them, oh, so sick. Like the background singers dressed as nuns and the lighting, the pyro, it was all a great production. So I actually appreciated that. I have no distractions. And it was billed as an evening with Ghost. There was no opening band. It started at 8, it ended like at 10:15. It was just them for 2 hours. I loved it. So that's why this is high up. This is my number 2 show. It was an amazing night.
Yeah, I at first I was not about the yonder pouch idea for shows, but I've been to 2 shows with the yonder pouches. I haven't been to one in a while, but looking back, that was a really cool experience. Just being just present in the moment, not having to worry about that. I kind of welcome the idea now. You know, not a lot of bands do that. The only ones I could think of really are, you know, Tool, Ghost, Jack White for sure. He's kind of the one who started that. Does Tool do that, or do they just do the thing where you just have to keep it away?
The last time I saw them, they didn't. But Matt, you saw them more recently, like after
They don't do that, but they just have the ushers tell you to put them away.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Ben,
Some bands are like as a courtesy, like, hey, you know, be respectful, don't take your phones out. Some bands totally take it from you. Some bands don't care. You know, I think everyone's just trying to.
What was the band we saw years ago where we had the yonder pouches and we figured out how to get them open?
That was the Misfits.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we figured out how to open up the yonder pouches.
You know what's funny? Before Ghost, I only heard of these yonder pouches being done at like stand-up comedy shows because the comics don't want you to record their act and share it. But I mean, I'm all for it for concerts as well.
Yeah, you know, I wish people were just more respectful of that. Like, to be honest, like myself, you know, I'll take a few pictures. I'll take, you know, a minute clip of video of a couple songs I like, and then I'll put the phone away. I try to be mindful of that just for myself, like just keeping myself in the moment. But like a lot of people don't have that self-control, especially I feel like the younger crowd, like you'll see like they're just recording the whole show or they're live streaming the whole show. and that's just kind of what they do. And I just wish people had more self-control to where the yonder wasn't even necessary. But
yeah, I get concerned about the yonder from the perspective of safety. With the world being as insane as it is, like what happens if there were an issue? Now all of a sudden your phone's locked away and you can't call for help. So I hear what you guys are saying, and I appreciate certainly not pulling out your phone and just ripping the entire act. But I do have questions about the yonder, the safety.
Yeah,
putting that in there.
All right, Eric, number 3. No,
Yeah.
number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so number 2 was a show I saw at MetLife, and I'll bring it full circle with the conversation we had before too about stadium shows. I personally hate stadium shows. Every time I've been to a stadium show, you have terrible sound where the sound slaps off the back wall of the stadium and reverberates, and you hear it double from essentially an echo. And sure, certainly some of that's based on where you sit, but let's be honest. Some of the shows that I'm seeing at stadiums, I don't want to pay $500 a ticket. So I don't like the sound personally. However, MetLife had an amazing sound for System of a Down, Polyphia, and Korn. That was a great show. I'm not a huge System fan personally. They were a band that I saw because I had to see them. I think it was their first time on the East Coast for the last 10, 15 years, something like that. So I certainly appreciate them from a drumming perspective. John is outrageously good. So I appreciate that. But I was more there for Korn and Polyphia personally. I think Korn absolutely kicked my teeth in. What a great set they played. Jonathan Davis is strong as ever. I mean, my man is he's still doing his thing, man. Polyphia was really the band I wanted to highlight in all this, though. I know of Polyphia. I've seen a YouTube video here or there. And, from a musicianship perspective, I understand the gravity of how good these guys are at their respective instruments. But it's not every day you go to a show and you kind of sit introspectively and figure out oh, wow, this is how you play drums, right? Or this is how you attack your instrument. And I kind of had that moment with Polyphia where I was seeing and hearing things that I never really considered before, putting them and translating them to a drum kit. And I think I kind of got lost in this wall of sound in the best way, right? In this moment where I was just holy, you know what? I haven't thought of this before. I haven't ever kind of looked at music this way before. So really good, kudos and shout out to them. They absolutely blew my mind. Just really from a how to get better at my own respective instrument standpoint. Korn was incredible, and I definitely do give System their props. I think every song kind of sounded the same, but for being up in their late 50s, early 60s, whatever, they still got it, man, and they're doing their thing, and I'm happy I saw that show. Just because I've been pulling out all of the posters so far.
Uh-oh.
Show you this one from that show. This was pretty cool.
Let's see that. Let's see that. Put a little closer. A little closer. I want to see that.
Closer.
Oh.
The dudes.
Nice.
But it's a holographic litho. Super cool, super thick paper. I don't know if I can tell the thickness, but
See, Eric, I could ask you this because you collect the posters too, but you ever feel like you didn't go to a show but you wish you did just because you wanted the poster?
Dude, I'll talk about my first show, my first rank show in a minute, but I sat for the first probably 45 seconds of the first song, still bummed out that I couldn't get the limited to 50 litho. So yes. Actually, I think one time, dude, you went to the Stone show, and I asked you to bring me home a poster just so I could have the poster, I think. Yeah, man, there's there's several shows I wish I went to, but I think now I'm cleaning that all up, and I'm kind of going, hey, I'm seeing all these bands that I really have to see because I have to see them, but also, it doesn't hurt to hang that poster on your wall. What really bums me out is when they don't have a tour poster at all. That just absolutely sucks. But
I'm still like that. I'm like, I think about the poster when I buy the concert ticket a lot of the time.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, I think about the band I'm going to, but sometimes I think like Guns N' Roses tour that they announced for this summer. I haven't bought tickets yet, but I will, and part of the reason is because I can't miss that poster because I have all the others for their most recent tours. But
hey, let me know when you get the tickets, dude.
That's cool. The System show I was gonna go to. I was gonna try to get last minute tickets to, but I don't know. The prices were just too much for me, at least, because I'm not a big enough fan to drop that much. And I've seen Korn in smaller places, so it was just. But you guys were telling me, because I know all of you guys went, but on different days. But you guys were telling me like it was a really interesting atmosphere, like that stadium.
You know what, man? It was such an interesting atmosphere. So this is the other thing. I didn't realize, like, where I personally was sitting in the stands, everyone was way older than I thought. Like, I thought that System was going to be a band of 20 to 40-year-old fans, and you had like probably the better demographic of like 40 to 70-year-old fans. I felt like I was one of the youngest people there, at least in my section. And I didn't realize that, like, the older crowd was so behind System. They also didn't talk in between their songs. That was just another point to note here. So the show felt like it was flowing, but I also kind of wish they took a step back and talked in between a couple, because I felt like at that point, everything kind of blended. But either way,
didn't they talk once about Ozzy? Maybe that was it, or was that Korn?
So but it wasn't Serge though. It was the guitarist. Serge seemed like he wanted no commentary or no dialogue with the fans. That part of the show, again, to me, I'm not a huge System fan. I appreciate their music. I had to see them. That was a little bit of a weird vibe, but Korn was awesome. I've seen them in smaller venues, but we've seen them how many times? Countless times, at least 5 times.
I lost count.
Yeah, and they just keep doing it. They keep showing up year after year and just absolutely kicking you in the face with their music.
Yeah, I went to that show too the night after you, and I was worried about System of a Down because Juan and I used to see them all the time, and we saw them in Webster Hall, right on top of them. And we haven't seen them in 15 years. And I was worried because I'm like, they're still going to have it. But they did. Like, they just went right through 28 songs, however many they did, like nonstop, and Korn was right there to match them.
Yeah. Matt, did you feel it all? They obviously you just said they had it, but did you feel like they changed or fell off, or even that their set just was one kind of extended song?
Their music does sound a lot the same, but I mean the crowd was feeding off the energy so much. I mean, they were starting fires in the mosh pits with flares at the show.
All right, so my night didn't have anything quite like that.
Well, you had the guy in the stands who was having fun with himself.
Oh yeah, there was a guy in the stands that was having a blast.
I heard about that.
With his pants around his ankles and but
viewers can write in the comments below. Do you know this man?
Listen, going back to Polyphia, I know of them because of my daughter. She's a huge fan of theirs, and she was the one that put me on. She showed me some YouTube videos of theirs, and the way they dominate the guitar and the drums, it's like, how is that humanly possible? Oh my god!
So I went with a couple people. One of them is a very good guitarist, and I asked this guy to kind of give me an understanding of just how good this guy was, and he just kind of looked at me and he just went, "No."
Right?
I was like, "What? Why won't you explain to me?" He goes, "Because he does things on a guitar that you can't do on a guitar, He goes, it's not even like a reasonable, like, he goes, you might as well be playing like piano on the guitar. Like, it's not even a reasonable like conversation to have about how good he is.
It's insane.
So I mean, I guess he's, I don't want to like say this, but maybe one of the closest things to like a musical prodigy, like, or one of these savant guys that are around. And then the drums have been played by a couple different people. Like Brandon Burkhalter, I think, was like their original drummer, and now they have I forgot this guy's name, but just like stupid good musicians, dude. Like, good for them. It's three people holding down an entire stage, and they do a hell of a.
That's impressive.
It was mind-boggling from a musician standpoint.
Nice. So my number 2 is another Capitol Theater show. Like I said, just can't beat the Capitol Theater. But this one was an interesting one because I find that a lot of bigger bands end up playing underplays at the Capitol Theater. Maybe when they're doing like a smaller scale tour, or some just play it because it's that kind of historical venue. But I saw Cage the Elephant about a month and a half ago at the Capitol Theater. Have never seen them before. I've always wanted to see them. And it was just really special getting to see them in such a small venue for the first time. I feel like, they're going to do normal tours again where they play like bigger venues, but I feel like I'm going to pass on those because I just got a very cool, unique experience seeing them in such a small theater. But just incredible energy from the band. I mean, I knew the singer was kind of insane on stage, but I didn't know the band had so much energy. Just a really interesting stage setup too. Just had really cool, not like screens on the stage, but they had like lighting effects on the different platforms that the keyboards were on and the drums were on. Kind of hard to explain, but I kind of appreciate when bands don't use screens and they come up with different creative ways to do their lighting effects on the stage. Like sometimes I feel like screens are kind of like the easy way out of doing that, or kind of like a lazy way where they could just come up with so much more. But cool thing about this band too, the songs were really short, maybe like 3-minute songs each, so they were able to fit in a ton of songs, and they just went one after the next, like very little pause in between. You were talking about like no talking in between songs, like they just kept going. Like it wasn't like and high energy songs too, so there wasn't even room for talking in between songs very much. I mean, there was a little bit, but not too much. Hits and deep tracks. I heard a lot of songs I knew, a lot of songs that wasn't too familiar with. It was night 2 of a 2-night run. So I always feel like if bands are doing 2 nights at a venue, night 2 is always the time to go because the band knows the venue. The sound crew is used to the way that how the sound works in that venue. So they're able to set everything up properly. They didn't have to break everything down from the night before. And it was just a really cool high energy show. And just, I keep saying this, and that's kind of the theme for my band's just raw rock and roll. The crowd was really into it too. They didn't have a cell phone band, but there were very little cell phones in the crowd. And that was really interesting to me too. And they kind of attract more of like a alternative kind of hipster, scene of people that go to those shows. So people that you wouldn't expect to be recording shows. Funny side note, actually, Matt, I think we talked about this. One of the shows I went to very early on in the year, I actually saw people not recording the show on their phone, but actually bringing camcorders, like old school camcorders to the show. And not just one person. There were about 5 people that I saw at this show with camcorders. No camcorders at Cage the Elephant, though, but just really awesome. I was so happy to have gotten to see them, and we were right up front again. And at first, I'm always shaky about standing up front because is the sound going to be good? I can't see the whole stage. Is somebody going to fall on my head while they're crowd surfing? Like, I don't want to deal with all that stuff. But it was awesome, and we had a great time. And I would definitely see them again, but. Like I said before, I'm going to be very picky about where I see them because, I don't want to ruin the experience that I had with, a subpar experience at like a venue that's a lot bigger. And
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah, my shows this year, I mean, I really have to say I've been to like more small shows than big shows. It's really been an awesome experience because I feel like that's really the way to see shows. Like stadium shows are cool in their own right, but it's not as personal. And I feel like I deal with a lot of other external factors. I deal with, should I stand up or should I sit down? Or the drinks are too expensive, or you're dealing with elements of weather outside, and the sound's not too good because the venue's too big.
Or even just like the parking,
being in
like the parking before too gets me so out of sorts. Like if it's a tough park and I like don't know where the heck my car is and stuff, like I get so anxious when I sit down in those big shows. It's a good call out.
Plus, it turns into a whole day too. I mean, like tailgating's fun, but by the end of the tailgate, you're like tired. And then it's like it turns into a whole day. Whereas a theater, you pull up around 6 o'clock, you go in and you're good. So, all right, let's go through. This is our final round, our number one shows. And I will say this though, for my number 3 through 1, I mean, they were pretty much interchangeable. I mean, they were all awesome shows. I don't know about you guys, but my number 1 though does stand out for a particular reason. So we'll get to that in a bit. But Matt, what you got?
Well, I will say after this year, I am more of a fan of the smaller shows. Like I'm just feeling them a lot more. The arena shows serve their purpose when you want to see the bigger acts. But yeah, I that anxiety of should I sit down? Can I stand? Am I going to piss people off? I feel like when I go to the smaller shows, these people go to a lot of shows. We're all kind of on the same level. We know what to expect. But some of these stadium shows, arena shows, you get people that don't usually go to concerts. So sometimes maybe they're drinking a little too much. It gets a little, dicey, and they're very obnoxious. Whereas the smaller shows, like everyone's there for these bands, and you're all there for a party. So I am just more of a fan of the smaller ones, but this last one is a bigger one. It was an arena show, which was the 9 Inch Nails show, the Peel It Back tour. And I'm putting this one on here because I'd never seen them and I always wanted to. And it was a really cool show because it was just so different than any other show I've been to. There was an opening act called Boys Noise, which is just like a DJ. And this guy came out and started doing his DJ set, and everything just went red. And he's in the back of the arena floor doing his thing for like 30 minutes. It's just like some beats and stuff. And my wife was there, and we didn't really know what to make of it. But, you're just sitting there going like this. And the 30 minutes ended, and then 9 Inch Nails appeared in the middle of the arena on this middle stage. They had 3 stages, a small stage, middle stage that was a little bigger, and then the main stage. And they just, right after the 30 minutes hit, boom, they came up on stage, and they did a few songs there, and then they have some sounds going on, and they run to the main stage, and they do some songs there, and then they come back to the middle stage and do some more electronic songs there, and then finish up at the main stage, which is more of like the instrument songs, less of the electronic stuff. So it was just a different type of show. And being, I guess, in the upper levels, you're able to see it a lot more. I don't know how it would work on the floor because your floor was separated and then you have 3 different stages. So it was good that we were like on the side. And like I said, we never seen them before, so it was really cool. We don't know all of their songs, but there was just so much energy, and Trent Reznor was just giving it his all after all these years still. So we really want to see them again. Hopefully we can catch them in 2026. But I think it's going to be the same type of show.
Yeah, I need to see them. They're one of the bands that I've wanted to see for a long time. I need to check them out because
if we could make a pact right now when they come around next time, we'll just
they're playing Prudential Center in February on Valentine's Day.
Hate the Prudential Center.
Yeah, Ben's favorite place.
I've got a lot of issues with that.
And it's Valentine's Day. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough.
How romantic.
But that was really cool. But I was a fan more of the smaller shows this year. I mean, this went to so many. I can't even list all of them. But they're all done. No more for the rest of the year.
9 Inch Nails, number 1. Nice. Juan, what you got?
All right.
Number 1.
So my number 1 is this little band from England called Sleep Token. I am deeply obsessed with Sleep Token since I first discovered them. There it is. Yes, there it is. Sleep Token. I love the way they blend all different types of genres of music. I was like a fanboy the day of the show. I woke up nervous, like, oh my God, the day is here. This is the date I'm going to see Sleep Token. I got on the line early. I was like nervous. I made some friends. It was at the Barclays Center. So I used the American Express priority line to get in because each city got its own token dedicated to it. So I wanted to get the New York City token, which, by the way, we're speaking about merch. That token was $50 just for a token, a commemorative token, a souvenir. I got it though. I regret nothing. But yeah, the hoodies. I got a hoodie that was $85, but everything was expensive. There was a jacket. They were selling a $250 jacket to sleep with the Sleep Token logo on it. The merch sales are crazy. That line never got short for the merch for Sleep Token. To the actual show, Matt, you mentioned Thornhill. Thornhill opened up. They did all right. They did like a 30-minute set, but I think people were feeling the anticipation like I was. We just want to see Sleep Token, so I don't think it did Thornhill justice because there were some pretty heavy songs and everyone's just standing still. I'm like,
it probably should have been a night with Sleep Token like Ghost did.
Yeah, probably. I would have been better off. Because nothing against Thornhill. They did all right. But once Thornhill finished their set, the lights in the Barclays Center dimmed, and all you hear is wind. So this like eerie wind sound effect is playing throughout the whole arena up until the time the Sleep Token takes the stage. So then you have this big curtain with the Sleep Token logo, and you have these lights, and it looks like glitter, but it's laser glitter raining on the logo. The first track of their new album plays, and right when it gets to the screaming part, like a minute into the song, it's a slow build, and that's when the curtain drops, and they come out and take the stage. The crowd goes crazy. It went nuts in there for them. The set on the stage was amazing. It looked like Castle Grayskull out of He-Man, like Masters of the Universe type thing. It was crazy. There were stairs that led to like 2 different sides. It looked like there were caves on the 2nd level of this huge cave or castle. Espera is on the left. So in case you're wondering, Espera is a trio of females that do backing vocals for Sleep Token, just to add like emphasis to the music, so Vessel doesn't have to do all over, some verses like overlap, so they're there and they catch it perfectly and they sound great. The band plays great. It's only 3 of them, but the music was amazing. The set list was good. They touched on every album. They even did a deep cut off their first EP, One, which I looked around. They were only the real fans are singing along to that one. But yeah, they were freaking amazing. The light show that they had on display was also cool. It kind of reminded me of Tool because they play a lot with lights and like lasers and stuff like that. So Sleep Token does a lot of that. And I was just a supreme 100% fanboy that day. I just love that show because I'm obsessed with the band too, so that's why. So I have no complaints. That's why that's my number 1 show of 2025. Sorry guys, I geeked out there on you, but
that's awesome though. I love those shows that give you like the fully immersive experience. Like you said, I think bands are getting a little more creative with like not only while they're on stage, but before they get on stage. Like, what Matt said with 9 Inch Nails just kind of appearing, like that, and then Sleep Token with the wind and everything, like it's kind of straying from the traditional like house music, wait a half hour and the band go on stage. Like they're trying to make the whole thing into an experience and keep people in their seats. So that's really cool. I saw a lot of video clips and a lot of people posting from that show. Like that was a big deal, in that scene. So
all right, y'all, bringing this full circle, just super quick. The band that I was mentioning before that I remained extremely ambiguous about was in fact this Sleep Token show that I wanted to see desperately and didn't get a chance to.
Oh, so. Ben has a Sleep Token sign handy.
So Ben, you were right with your Sleep Token prediction.
I thought it was Rod Stewart.
I think everybody here kind of knew what I was getting at. That I was excited to see Cher. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, this. So Juan, I need a favor from you, man. Anytime you hear of Sleep Token, or anytime you're going to go to Sleep Token, which I expect to be probably every time from now on. Just assume I'm going. Text me and let me know that you're picking up a ticket for me, and I'll Venmo you because I'm not.
Better yet, I'll let you know. Hey, I'll just let you know I got the ticket.
Yeah, man.
Like we're going.
I'm not gonna miss them anymore. Like it's just not worth it. Because
let's make Eric act like an old school scalper. Anybody got two? Anybody got two? Anybody got tickets?
Start saving your money now.
Yeah. So yeah, again, Juan, you won tickets this year to a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna play the Powerball when I'm with you next time.
Let's do it,
and then we'll be able to afford Sleep Token. So
let's do it. Let's go for it. Yep, that's my number one.
Sleep Token will play in your backyard.
Oh man. All right, my number one was a band that's been on hiatus now for like 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Don't fact check me in the comments, guys, because I didn't dive that deep into it. I saw them in 2007 or 2008. They were the very first band at Bamboozle, and it kind of backfired on everybody that they were opening it because they were one of the biggest bands that year, but nobody really got into the venue in time, so they ended up having to play 2 songs over and skip out the last 2 songs of their set back in 2007. So just a brief second for anyone in the comments who wants to think they know which band I'm talking about, go ahead, post it now. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. Brand new. They came back this year in a big way. Love Jesse Lacey or hate Jesse Lacey. Either way is fine. I know there was a whole issue with him and some situations going on, but I'll tell you what, they came out swinging. This band was like Manny Pacquiao in the ring, dude. Their first couple of songs were older songs. They didn't play anything off their first album. They started with The Devil and God, and they also went to Deja Entendu. And they came out with 3 or 4 older songs, and then they started playing some of their new music. This was a pop punky emo band from like the mid 2000s. No one expected them to have a light show, but guess what? This band had strobes, they had lights, they had lasers, they had everything. I felt like I was in a freaking club meets like an emo show. Like I didn't really know how to reconcile all this stuff together, but it was vibes, dude. We were in the 3rd row back from the GA, my wife and I. It was our first like night out without the baby, and I'll tell you what, holy hell, this band was awesome. So whatever Brand New's been doing for the last 6 years, and they've been cooking up in the lab, good for them because they did it right. The new album, still haven't really listened to it, to be honest with you. I don't care because this show is all the way back in July or August. I'm still riding high on it, so I don't feel like I need to go and listen to the recorded stuff because I have this all like replaying in my head. Like, what a sick show this was. So Jesse still got it. The band still got it all these years later. Took a break, came back, didn't miss a beat. Hell yeah, go Brand New. And if you have a chance to see them, I would definitely do it. Nice. Also, it's really funny to see a bunch of like mid-30s like emos that I probably went to Warped Tour with like so many years ago and may have done some outrageous crap with in the mosh pit previously. And now everybody's like kind of settled down, like, you know, post emo phase. You see all the like still the haircuts and the tattoos, but now they're looking a little bit more, you know, professional, and probably most of these people have kids, and it's hilarious to see how the whole entire generation progressed as a metal emo pop punk community. So that's another thing I thought was funny. This was at UBS Arena, by the way, and they're a Long Island band, so I don't know if they'd call it like a home show or not, but it seemed to be because it was sold out in 30 seconds.
Nice.
Again, save your money if you're going to go see them.
Yeah, it was an expensive one. We dropped far too much money, which is part of the reason we only saw a few shows this year too, but well worth it for myself because I'm just an outrageously big brand new fan.
Nice. So my number one, you know, I did not expect to be my number one at all. When I bought the tickets, I saw it as kind of like a great thing to do on 4th of July weekend. My friend came down from Massachusetts, and you know, I saw that this artist was playing in New Jersey, so we figured we'd make a weekend out of it and barbecue and then drive down. This was Gary Clark Jr. Saw him at the Stone Pony Summer Stage in Asbury Park. And to be honest, Stone Pony Summer Stage, I have not had too many great experiences at. For one reason or another, it's been always like one of those venues that like I try to not go to if I don't have to, not only because of the distance, but just because, I don't know, I've had just various issues with the venue or with shows that I've been to. Not always the venue's fault, but I just always haven't had a great time there. This is my third time seeing Gary, but for what I'll say, you know, for what I'm about to say, this was probably the best time yet. You know, pretty much this saved a weekend for me, this show. You know, not going to go into it, but the weekend definitely got very weird and a little negative in some ways, just, you know, bad vibes all around. And, you know, we went to this show hoping that it would cure that weekend, and it definitely did. I mean, just a great mix of blues, R&B, soul. I think Gary just played an amazing set. The last time I had seen him, he played a little too much of the R&B and soul, but he brought in a lot more blues this time around. What was the biggest jaw-dropping moment for us as we saw the show? One of his last songs, he closes out with one of his biggest songs, Bright Lights, Big City. And right in the middle of the song, because the Stone Pony Summer Stage kind of is right next to the beach. So the beach is right behind you. And they started shooting off fireworks, having their fireworks show for 4th of July on the beach as this song is happening. You know, it felt like it was happening along to the music. Like it was just the greatest kind of vibe and setting that you could get. Like he got basically free pyro, you know, with his show. He didn't have to incorporate that. But you guys were talking about lights. This was probably the best light show that I've ever seen at this show. And it was as simple as a smoke machine and lasers and lights. And I don't know what they did, but the way they did it, it just looked so amazing. Just a very psychedelic kind of, you know, atmosphere that they created with the lights. I can't explain it, but it was the best light show that I've ever seen. You know, definitely no screens needed. You know, it very different from the other shows I've been to this year, like high energy shows, stuff like that. This was just a chill kind of show, but just what I needed for that weekend, and definitely one that I'll remember. And, you know, best time that I've seen Gary, like I said, and definitely saved the Stone Pony Summer Stage for me because I definitely have a nice appreciation for it and a good way to go out on that. So maybe I won't be so hesitant to buy tickets to shows for them anymore. But just amazing show, and you know, like I said, different vibe than not only the other shows that I've talked about, but the shows that all you guys have talked about. I love how we all kind of brought different genres and different types of shows to the conversation today. So that was really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's our top 5 concerts of 2025, and I guess we'll wrap this up, guys. So thank you guys so much for being on, and thank you for putting your list together, and hope to have you guys on the channel again soon.
Definitely.
Thanks for doing it, Ben.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks.
And as always, everybody, don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, share the video, all that good stuff, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time.